Let's look into the solid design principles in Laravel. I'll be using the Martin Geo's article to demonstrate this. If you need to check out, just go to the Martin Geo's blog and check out. Solid principles basically guide us through the writing our code, which is basically clean, reusable, and maintainable. And we have 5 principles, which include single responsibility, open closed, Liskov substitution, interface segregation, and dependency inversion principle. So let's look into the single responsibility principle. The principle states that the class should have only one reason to change. Pause and look at the example below. So in this example, we are basically getting the posts from a user resource. And if we have to change, for example, what happens if we have to change the definition of most popular posts? And probably we have the user resource used across most of our controllers. It will be a bit cumbersome, and we can do better with this to avoid infringing the single responsibility principle. For example, now we have separated the getting the most popular posts from the user resource, and we can only access the class from the user resource, where we basically pick the most popular resource and check if the request as the request of the most popular resource, so that we can be able to access. So in this example, now you'll find that we have the defined classes, and in this two defined classes, the user resource is responsible only for the representation, and it has only one reason, and we cannot change if we have to change the like we have said before, if you have to change a definition of the most popular posts. Principle number 2 is open close principle, which basically states that a class should be open for extension but closed for modification. Might looks intimidating, but very easy. This will use an example of a trait, and in this example we have the classes, the trait for likable, which is common one, and then we'll have like, a dislike, and the likes and the like count. This is pretty simple example where we just implement a generic trait, and it can be used in any model where we want to extend. For example, now we can extend in posts, comments, or even any other model that we introduce, like charts. So you can check out more examples on the article. Liskov substitution principle. In this case, each base class can be replaced by its subclass. This one sounds easy, but at sometimes it's a bit confusing, and there are some rules that must be followed by the implementation. And for example, in this case, we have the abstract class of the email provider, and we are using either the MailChimp as an example, or a ConvertKit. You can add yours. And in our example, we have an abstract of email provider, and we use both MailChimp and the ConvertKit, either in registration or in our campaigns. And the classes should behave exactly the same way no matter what. It should not matter if we're using the current email provider, if the current email provider is MailChimp or ConvertKit. So the behavior should be similar. Our fourth one is interface segregation principle, which states that you should have many small interfaces instead of having few ones. The original principles just sound like no code should be forced to depend on methods it does not use. So it's just straightforward. I think this one is among the simplest principles in all the principles, I suppose. It's just better to have a small interface that handles a single responsibility and is independent, rather than having an interface with many functions that does not depend on each other. Our last one, dependency inversion principle, depend upon abstraction, not concretions. The principle states that high-level modules should not import anything from low-level modules. Both should depend on abstractions, and abstractions should not depend on details. So that's basically what it does. So whenever you have a parent class and one or more subclasses, you should use the parent class as a dependency. Like in the example below, you can check out how it works, and it should be straightforward. Finally, we are done with the solid principles, and thank you for following along. See you next time. Adios.